Okay, just made it back here to the trailer after a long day working on schedule book stuff. Trying to get all caught up after a long day on the water. First off, real quick, I just had a cancellation, so shameless business plug here. Just had a cancellation for August 23rd, and that is this upcoming Sunday, and that will be for a full boat. So if you have a group of 3 to 6 people that want to book the whole boat, I'm booking up the whole boat for August 23rd. That just opened up. So now back to business. Let's talk about what has been happening out here at Buoy 10 the last couple days. I've been asked quite a few times, what's the best flasher color, what's the best spinner, what's the best bait, anchovy, or herring. Well, the reality is that it goes beyond that. You need to pay really close attention to detail. Pay attention to your water color. Pay attention to your water temperature. Pay attention to what the currents are doing. Today we had a time where we actually had a current seam that was pushing across this flat up above the bridge. And as it's pushing across, I noticed that most of the fish I saw caught, and including the fish that we got, were all on the south side of the break, south side of that current rip. And the water temperature difference was 3 degrees between the north side to the south side. And so that current rip was acting like a broom, just sweeping all those fish up onto that flat. And if you were on the cold side of it, you weren't getting bit. The warmer side actually held fish. So paying attention to those little tiny details, like your line angle. Again, today they're fishing that same area. At one point in time with the current, I was at 24 on the line counter, and it was barely tapping bottom up in shallow water. And then all of a sudden on the next pass, I had to get to 28 to 30, 32 even to start tapping bottom. So yes, you might have caught a fish at 24 on the last pass, but understand where your gear is in the water column based upon your boat speed and what the current is doing, because the current has 3 different levels. There's your surface current, there's your middle current, and then on the bottom can be totally different too. And all those things will adjust where your gear is in the water column. As far as how today went, I know a lot of guys that tagged out. I know a lot of guys who never landed a fish. So it's just one of those deals where it kind of seems to be the case so far this year. It's just a bunch of little tiny micro bites, and if you're in the right place, right time, awesome, you got them. If you're not, you're struggling quite a bit. For us, we were kind of both. We were on a decent little bite towards the end of the day. Morning, we had just an absolute fast and furious snap where I couldn't even get a bait in the water, but we only got one fish that we could keep out of that box or out of that bunch of grabs, and it only lasted about 5 minutes and just done. It was unbelievable how quickly it came and went. So another thing I've kind of noticed here this year compared to last year was almost everything on the bottom. I mean, we were dredging bottom in 50 feet. We're dredging bottom in 16 feet. The closer you were to the deck, the better. This year it seems like, man, if you're in deep water, the best place you could be on your line counter is like 20 to 35, a little bit shallower, a lot of suspended fish. And I'm almost wondering, looking at the Bonneville counts and kind of seeing what we're seeing down here, suspended fish, once we hit the bottom of the tide and the tide starts coming in, we just poof, they all disappear. Can't even find out where the fish went until the top of the tide. We find them again. I'm almost wondering if these fish are just flying through the estuary. It's a little bit cooler here. I wouldn't think that 2 or 3 degrees cooler than in past years would make that much of a difference, but maybe it is. I mean, I don't know. At Bonneville, heck, they had 2,200 fish, I think it was, that went over the dam here a couple of days ago. That's pretty good for this time of year. That's pretty early. So I wonder if those fish are just flushing past. But I don't know. We'll kind of see. These are tougher tides right now. When the tides peak out here in a couple of days and start to drop, that's when we should really see a good bite right in that last week before the Buoy 10 area shuts down for Chinook at least. So as far as gear goes, I was running mostly anchovies. I've been getting 1 fish a day on spinners, but I'm running the big spinners, you know, your size 6s and 7s. Guys that are fishing the 3.5s behind a 360 are definitely getting them. But I do know that actually spinfish have been absolutely slaughtering them. My buddy sent me a picture with a 37-pounder on the silver blue scale that he ran yesterday. So spinfish are definitely working. And maybe I need to put the blades away and put the spinfish filled with fish net back out there, because I know last year that worked awesome for me. What's been tough is that I know that anchovies work regardless of tide or water temperature. Sometimes spinners or spinfish, you need to adjust. You only need to run them in certain times, like certain parts of the tide, certain water temps. And the bite honestly has not been good enough where I feel comfortable changing out gear and starting to experiment, which is why I haven't experimented much with scent this year like I have in years past. I know garlic works great down here. That super sauce from Procure, the super Dunkin' sauce, I do really well with that. I played around with that a little bit today, but the bite just has not been consistent enough to really figure out what is working better. I had the other day where Red October was just, man, that's it. Clearly, that was a flasher to use. The last couple days, it's been, yeah, Red October's doing pretty good in the morning, and then all of a sudden later on in the day, Green Machine just caught up. So there hasn't been a consistent enough bite for me to determine if there really is one better color, one better bait, one better scent. I'm just still trying to figure it all out. So hopefully here as the week progresses, I'll have a little bit better handle on it and can share that info with you guys. But for now, I'm going to get caught up on scheduling folks and get caught up on tying rigs. It was a long day, got off the water late, and got another bright and early morning tomorrow. All right, guys, we'll see you then. Later.